Hey, Chef Corso, Outdoor Eats. This is a stove video. Yes, a stove video. What stoves are we looking at today? We are looking at the MSR Pocket Rocket, classic of the backpacker. I know a lot of you guys have this stove out there, and the NearZero Mini. New mini stove, new stove day. But we're gonna look at these two stoves today. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna cook something, because this is the Outdoor Eats channel. We gotta cook something outside, and we're not just gonna boil water, because boiling water is boring. Let's cook something. Oh my gosh, I've got some fresh ingredients. Here's Corso again, sitting in the bushes eating soup. Layers of flavor to make my camp meals and my dishes really, really good. All right, let's get into this stove test. But first, I filmed that intro in Las Cruces, New Mexico, and now I'm in Albuquerque. And as you can see, it snowed. It actually melted quite a bit this morning, but man, it was full-on flurries for a couple hours. But that'll happen. If it snows, if it rains, still got to cook. So what we are looking at today is we are looking at two very small, very compact stoves that are perfect for a single or maybe two people out on the trail. One is a classic MSR Pocket Rocket 2 that I've had for a long time. It's a champion. It does a really, really good job. I know a lot of you guys have this one out there as well, and you love it. And we're also going to look at a new one. We're going to look at a NearZero Mini, which is very, very similar construction. But we're gonna take a look at the tech specs today. We're gonna look at how they set up, how they cook. But everybody, there is so much more to cooking outside than just boiling water. So we're sort of gonna do that, but we're gonna make a recipe that is gonna be really, really easy for you guys to take out on the trail and gonna be super, super tasty, that does use water, but not just boiling water and adding it to a bag. So let's get into these two stoves. All right, first up, let's refamiliarize ourselves with the MSR Pocket Rocket. Fits right in the palm of your hand, right in your pocket. Classic tri-hinge swing out construction. Very sturdy base here at the bottom as it connects to your canister. And as far as dimensions for our actual cooking surface, we are looking at, I don't know, 1 1/4 or so. Yeah, looking pretty good. And as far as the overall cooking surface, or the overall area for your pot, looking a little bit like that. But here's some other tech specs for you. The pot that we are cooking on with our MSR is an MSR pot. Really solid, really good for one really hearty portion or two kind of small portions. I've used this on many solo trip before. And for the NearZero, here's what we're looking like. Still very compact construction. Let's pull it out of here. Also fits right in your pocket or in your hand. Similar 3 feet tri swing hinge construction. A little bit smaller base when it connects to the canister, but still very sturdy. Like that. And as far as the actual surface area for our burner, not even an inch. So a little bit smaller than the MSR, but that doesn't mean that it's not going to give us enough heat. We're going to test that out. As far as the overall cooking surface or overall landing surface, a little bit smaller. Kind of hard to measure this too. But yeah, maybe about an inch less so something to note for which pots you want to put on it. And here's some other tech specs for the NearZero. And the pot that we're going to use today is one that is also available on their website. So this is a whole liter pot, which is really solid for 2 to 3 portions, but a little bit different makeup of the pot as well. But nice and lightweight, easy handle. I'm going to try that out. As we're looking at these side by side, in my hand here, there is a significant difference as far as overall volume, and there is a difference in weight. You know, one is 2.6-ish, one is 1.6-ish, and a lot of you are going to be doing this, just absolutely creaming yourself on the fact that you can save an ounce. For me, that really doesn't matter. What matters to me is how does it work, how is it stable, and how does it perform when I'm actually cooking something. All right, well, we've taken a look at the actual construction. Let's see what we're going to cook. Okay, well, I've got all of our ingredients right in this stuff sack for our recipe today. I love using stuff sacks for a full day on the trail or one recipe. But what we're gonna make today is a curry rice soup. So the star of the show is these pouches of pre-cooked rices and grains. And I specifically chose this one because a lot of you guys out there have been talking about sodium. And this one has hardly any sodium. Let's actually just double check. Yeah, for the full pouch, 5 milligrams of sodium. As I was looking for a pouch for this recipe, I noticed that a lot of them have a lot of salt in them. And for some of you out there, that's not okay. You need to be really, really mindful of how much salt you're taking in. For other folks out there, you know, you're not super concerned. But I really liked finding this so you can choose your own adventure as far as how much salt that you have. So we've just got some classic curry powder. Choose your favorite. We've got a little bit of oil. We've got some salt. And another note on salt is some of these spice mixes tend to have quite a bit of salt in them, so always check. But I prefer ones that are all spices and no salt, so that way, one, I'm paying for all spices, and then two, I can really adjust how much salt that I'm adding. And if you don't want to take curry powder, even though it's super, super easy, I also found these things, these cool little tubes of curry paste, a little bit spicy. There's some that are harissa and you know, sun-dried tomato and other kind of stuff, but that's super cool. So maybe we'll throw that in there too. And then what else is in my bag? Oh my gosh, I've got some fresh ingredients. Goodness gracious, it's a whole carrot. Wow, can't believe it. And I got a couple of these mini peppers. These are super easy to pack along and fit right in your pack. They are great for 1 or 2 people. Put that in the snow too. And then to finish off our dish here, we need some acid and we need maybe a little bit more crunch. So what I do love for this recipe is packing along a lemon. If you're looking at me like that is the dumbest thing you could ever hear, thanks Corso, not doing that, no worries. Just take some sumac. So sumac is actually perfect for this dish because it's a Middle Eastern, East Indian spice, but it has this nice, light little lemony flavor that I love taking along. So if you are an ultralighter and you need some acid on the trail for cooking, then consider some sumac. And as I was preparing this recipe in the pantry today, I also found some random pepitas. So this could be some really nice crunch. Also has some really nice micronutrients in there too. So we'll put that on the top as a nice little garnish. But let's cook up a couple batches of curry rice soup and see how these stoves do. So for any of these non-integrated stove and pot combinations, it's really important that you have a nice level surface because these, doesn't matter which brand you get, all have a tendency to be very slick and want to really, really slide off and be really, really tippy. So that's step one. Just make sure you have a nice cooking surface. But for me, and what we're talking about, you know, not just boiling water, is I want to see how hot this gets. I want to see if it can saute up some stuff and get me a couple extra layers of flavor. Sure, you can throw a whole bunch of ingredients and some rice and some water in a pot and boil it up and call it soup and call it dinner, but I'm looking for adding some quick, easy layers of flavor to make my camp meals and my dishes really, really good. And when you get to the end of your carrot, you're like, oh no, I gotta pack that out. Well, one, you could just throw it in there, it's totally fine, or just eat it. It's food. You're gonna be okay. And what I like to do before I turn on my burner is add my seasonings, because they need to wake up a little bit too. And you might be noticing that I'm not really measuring anything. It's, yeah, I've made this a couple times before, but what I tell folks all the time is that you can always add more. It's really, really hard to take away, but if you're ever unsure about something, is just add a little bit and taste it, see how it is, and then maybe add a little bit more. Turn that up to high heat. Get it cooking. And for these stoves that do not have a handle, I really, really recommend using some tongs, pan grippers. Sometimes they come with one. Man, look at that. But using some tongs or some pan grippers really, really help your life. Won't burn yourself and make sure your food doesn't tip. But really quickly, in a couple seconds, we've got a nice little bit of heat on here and our spices are waking up. Oh man, it is smelling great here in the desert. So I'm gonna go ahead and add some water. Probably do about 8 to 12 ounces. And for this test, just for you guys out there that love boiling water, we are gonna boil this first before we add our rice. And I lost my lid for this one a while ago, so we'll just go ahead and borrow the NearZero right now. But a lidded pot always boils faster. So if you are super, super keen on having the fastest soup ever, then yes, put a hat on it. That down to a simmer. Go ahead and add some rice. Nice, beautiful color in there, some nice texture with our carrots. And these cook up pretty quickly if you cut them nice and thin. But also, having a nice little bit of crunch is so much nicer than just eating some slop out of a bag. Nice, so this batch is done. We're gonna add a little bit of our sumac and a few of our pepitas. You can make this as soupy or as ricey as you like. That looks like a pretty darn good pot of trail food right there. But we're gonna come back to this one while we test out the NearZero. All right, so we've got the NearZero all set up on our same canister. We've got our pot. This is a little bit bigger pot and a little bit thinner construction, which will probably quicken up our cooking time slightly, especially for sauteing. I'm gonna do the same recipe, same steps, so we have a proper test. Man, you gotta really be careful with cooking around the cacti. They want to get you. Turn it up full blast. Heats up really, really quick with this thin metal construction. Yes. Man, just a few seconds. Got to be careful too so you don't scorch it. But that's all that I want and all that I need to be able to add a little bit of flavor to our vegetables and to wake up our spices. And while our second soup is boiling up here, here's what our burners look like in a little bit of some windy conditions, and also a nice tight shot in the dark so you can really see the makeup of the actual burner. Nice. I think our second batch is done here. Wow, look at that beautiful light today here in the desert. You know, it's something I don't know if you guys notice, but I notice when I'm outside, especially this spring as our light's changing. Super, super awesome. And yeah, just eat the top. You'll be fine. Don't worry about it. Got our sumac and our pepitas. We've got a great trail lunch or great trail dinner with some fresh ingredients, not a whole lot of pack weight, and these veggies will last for multiple days on the trail. Well, we've cooked. Now let's taste. Here's Corso again, sitting in the bushes eating soup. Story of my life. All right, let's taste test these two. Again, both just about exact recipes. There's something about Indian flavors on the trail that are just super warm and really satisfying. So this specific pot tastes very, very good. I get a little bit of flavor from those veggies hitting the pan. For me, I would like a little bit more curry powder, but that's super easy. I can just go ahead and add that, and probably a little bit of salt. I'd also like something a little bit spicy, but that's me. I like those pepitas in there too. Yep. And the thing about these carrots, again, is you don't have to boil them to death. You just need to get a little bit of the rawness out of them. But the one thing that I've noticed about packaged meals, especially over multiple days on the trail, is your mouth and your palate just gets super bored. It's all sloppy, it's all mashed up, and you need some texture to be able to keep your palate and your body and your mind interested and excited for mealtime. But man, warm soup on a cold day, really, really great. All right, let's test pot. What's in pot number 2? It's the same thing. Wow, that's also really, really good. Really, really warm, really hearty. What I'm tasting here is a little bit more of that toasty, sauteed, caramelized flavor on the veggies. And that has way, way more to do with the composition of your pot and how it's reacting with your food in your pot than the burner itself. But what that says to me is the small burner with the larger surface area of our pot here was still able to heat up the whole surface and give us that high heat that we're needing and looking for. Yeah, just eat it. You'll be fine. It's just a little extra fiber. And you don't have to put it in your pack-out bag. I can't wait for you to try this veggie rice soup because, man, it is super, super tasty and super hearty and really, really easy to pack and really quick cooking up. But the other cool part about this is it's really customizable. So if you don't like Indian food, throw some Mexican chili powder in there, throw some Thai curry paste, throw some soy sauce or some rice vinegar, and a couple other different veggies you probably have in your refrigerator drawer right now. So make it your own, but water, rice, couple of veggies, a little bit of seasoning, a little bit of salt, a little bit of acid, and you've got a really, really good meal. Whew, man, it is definitely not as cold as it was when I started filming this, which is a very, very good thing. So to recap on our stove comparison here today. So both of them, thumbs up. Both of them did the job. Both of them cooked food in a quick manner. They heated up the pot, they boiled our water, and they finished our dish. So overall, great thumbs up. The main differences that I've noticed, I'm checking my notes here because there's a lot of little tech specs that I want to make sure I get right, is that there is a difference in weight. So 2.6 versus 1.6. If that matters to you, all right. The dimensions are a little bit smaller as well, so it takes up less room in your pack. Again, that could be good for you. As far as performance, I was actually surprised on the NearZero with the smaller diameter of the actual cooking surface that it didn't seem to sacrifice anything. You know, if you are doing a little bit larger pot, maybe you're gonna get a little bit more of a hot spot in the middle, but to me, I didn't really notice that there was any sort of sacrifice there. So kind of a push as far as each option. You know, the other thing to note too, as far as the difference, the MSR does have a little bit larger surface area or landing zone for your pot there, and that could be a big deal for you depending on what pot that you choose to take along. And the main difference here is price. And you know, it's $59.95 on most sites that I found versus $24.50. I mean, that's more than a couple dollars. You know, trail math says that's more than a couple dollars. So you decide. I mean, I enjoyed using both of these. I've been using the MSR Pocket Rocket 2 for many, many years, and it's been doing the job for sure. But the NearZero is a very, very comparable competitor. It's lighter weight, it's smaller dimension, it doesn't have too much as far as output concern, and trail math says it is cheaper. So if all of that matters to you, you decide. But whatever you're doing, whatever stove that you choose, whatever pot that you choose, whatever combo that you do, get out there, cook something with your camp stove. Don't just boil water. We've got a lot of great options for you at outdooreats.com. But better food provides a better experience, and I'm here to help you how to do it. But get out there. Boca boca. Maybe don't sit in a cactus like I did, but I don't know. You decide.